Hey, yo, hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Blackest Night. Jeff Johns. Now, if you don't know who Jeff Johns is, there's probably a few reasons why. One is you're just getting into comic books. Two, you don't read comic books. Or there's a chance that you read comic books and you don't know who Jeff Johns is, but I would be a little bit concerned if that was the case. Now, see, Jeff Johns is pound for pound probably the best writer in DC right now. He's done fantastic work on titles such as Superman, Hawkman, Flash, Justice Society, and of course, Green Lantern. And see, it's very easy to see why Jeff Johns is such a fantastic writer. He takes the characters that he knows so well, and he puts them in stories and situations that just work so well for them. He also takes them outside of their comfort zone and puts them in new situations that are fun and interesting. So Jeff Johns, pound for pound, is probably the best writer in DC right now, and arguably, pound for pound, the best writer today. Now, Blackest Night is something that Jeff Johns has been working on for quite a while. He's been building up to it a lot in his Green Lantern run. But despite the fact that he's been building up to it in his Green Lantern run, this isn't a Green Lantern story. Yes, it does have Green Lantern elements into it. Yes, it does base heavily off the Green Lantern mythos. And yes, the main villains are Green Lantern based. Green Lantern villains, or people that are in the Green Lantern universe. But this isn't a solely Green Lantern story. This could be more or less just a DC event, seeing that many of the main characters in this are, well, they're not really Green Lantern characters. Sure, you got the main character, Hal Jordan, but you also got Barry Allen, Mira, Adam, along many others who participated in this event that aren't Green Lantern characters. In addition to that, this doesn't affect just the Green Lantern universe, but this affects the whole DC universe in many different ways. So, to say that this is a Green Lantern title would be really cutting it short. To say that this is a DC title would be accurate. Now, let's get on to the story. Now, Blackest Night story, if you look at it, can be actually kind of complicated because a lot of it ties into a lot of the DC universe. There's a lot of little plot holes and story elements that are very interesting and can be complicated when explaining it to someone. But at the same time, Blackest Night is actually a very simple story to explain that can be summed up with one theme. The dead are rising. Now, the basic story starts off like this. Black Hand, along with Necron, creates the Black Lantern Corps and bring upon the Blackest Night. Now, you're probably wondering, what's the Black Lantern Corps? Well, the Black Lantern Corps are basically the dead, reanimated dead individuals. The Black Hand and Necron send out Black Lantern rings to dead people and reanimate them and make them into Black Lanterns. Now, usually these dead individuals are people that have some kind of emotional tether or some personal connection to someone who's alive. But, again, the Black Lanterns aren't that picky, and anyone can become a Black Lantern. These Black Lanterns rise from the dead and seek out the individuals that they are connected to the most, and then kill them, eat their heart, and grow with power. Because, see, the Black Lantern ring is unlike other lantern rings. See, it needs to be charged up by killing people, rather than using an actual lantern. See, each time that someone is killed by a Black Lantern, 0.01% of the Black Lantern's power grows. So you've got to kill a lot of people to get fully charged up. Now, the basic scheme and villainous plot is that Black Hand, Necron, and the Black Lantern Corps want to invade Earth and attack Earth's essence. Because Earth, despite what we've been told in previous stories, is actually the origin on where life began. And it is at this origin that the essence of life is located. So the Black Lanterns want to basically destroy the essence of life and have nothing but death and blackness. Hence the Blackest Night. See, in addition to that, the Black Lanterns catch everyone off guard, including the main characters of the story, which can be really summed up into four characters: Mira, Adam, the Green Lantern, and the Flash. Although there's many other characters that participate in this, big and small, popular or not, those are basically the four main individuals through at least the majority of the story. they need to actually run and save themselves from the Black Lanterns while at the same time trying to figure out what's happening. Because see, the Black Lanterns and the Blackest Night catches everyone off guard. Now, things start to get worse and worse for everyone because, well, friends start dying, heroes start to fall, and the Black Lanterns grow stronger. Because, see, the Black Lanterns, with each person they can kill, can also make them join the Black Lantern Corps too. In addition to that, if you are someone that's been resurrected before, well, you could become a Black Lantern even without being killed. So as you can see, there's a lot of trouble and a lot of fear and a lot of work that these superheroes need to go through to survive the Blackest Night. So that is basically the Blackest Night story in an essence. The DC superheroes are getting overrun by zombies who happen to be Black Lanterns. They need to survive this onslaught, this attack from this evil Black Lantern Corps, while at the same time finding out a way to stop them. Are they able to do this? Or will more heroes fall than people be saved? Well, you're going to have to actually read this to know. But let's get on to the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Let's start things off with good. And there's a lot of good to talk about with Blackest Night, so I guess we have a lot to talk about, which in of itself could be good. Well, anyways, let's start things off with build-up. Blackest Night has been building up to for a long time. Ever since Jeff Johns stepped into the role of writer on Green Lantern, he's been building up to the story. In comparison to Final Crisis, there's a lot more time to establish characters, plot, and story. Because Final Crisis really only had the countdown to Final Crisis. So, it really didn't have that much time. In addition to that, the countdown really didn't have much to do with Final Crisis. But, see, Jeff Johns had since 2004 to establish plot and story and character development to really make this story good and rich with writing. So, in that, the build-up is very nice. Now, the great thing is that Jeff Johns really uses these characters to their full potential. Being a DC event, usually DC busts out their biggest names like Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, and throws them out there to, well, make the DC event good. However, Jeff Johns doesn't use big-name characters. Well, not so much. Yes, he uses the Green Lantern and the Flash, but he uses a lot of smaller, lesser-known characters that may not be as popular as the big three, such as, well, Mira, and Atom, and Firestorm. Well, and the list can go on. He uses these characters and makes them so dynamic and good. It's hard not to cheer for these characters, whether you like them or they don't. See, I already liked a lot of these characters going in there, like Mira and the Atom. But I've talked to people that have been reading the Blackest Night and say that they found a new appreciation for these characters, for being badass or just being cool, and how Jeff Johns has wrote them. So, in that, he does a very good job with the characters and really makes a lot of the characters shine, even if they haven't shined before. The story in itself is nice because it's a very simplistic story that can also be very complicated. I like how a lot of the stuff ties together the DC universe and explains certain things, mostly death, like Necron really tethering people back to life, or how a lot of people get, well, spoiler alert, brought back to life in this, and how death works in the DC universe, and how the door to death is closed because Necron is defeated. And I really like how they explain death and utilize death and really bring death kind of into an understanding for comics. Because see, the thing about death in comics is it happens and then people get brought back to life, not really explained, or if it is explained, it's sometimes silly, and it's just plain flat out stupid sometimes. I mean, God, how many times have certain superheroes died? I mean, for example, you kill off Superman, he gets brought back to life. Oh no, Wolverine died, don't worry, he's coming back in a month. Even with Batman, when Batman was technically killed off, he's going to be brought back, even though he wasn't really killed off, but you get the point. Death isn't really a big thing in comics. However, it's explained, and it actually makes logical sense in The Blackest Night. And I want you to read this to really understand it, but it's really kind of cool how they bring everything together. And it makes you feel as though now death's door is closed. So really, if someone dies, they stay dead. So in that, that's good too. Now, I'm going to go back into a little spoiler alert. At the end of the story, a lot of people get resurrected, and I am happy with the people that they resurrect. A lot of people were theorizing that there was going to be one big restart button and all the dead people in the DC universe get brought back. But this wasn't the case. Only a select few get brought back. And apparently there's a reason for this, which is going on in the Brightest Day story arc right now. But I like the fact that they brought back a few characters. Particularly Martian Manhunter and Aquaman. Two characters that I thought should have never died in the first place. And two characters I really liked. So I'm happy they brought them back. I'm happy they also brought back the Hawks in their full, beautiful glory with Shahir Hall and with Carter Hall. So that is good too. Along with a lot of the other characters like Hawk, Maxwell Lord, the Reverse Flash, etc., etc. Now there are a few characters that I did wish they did bring back. However, really I'm happy that they brought back Aquaman and Martian Manhunter, so I'm okay with it. So I like the fact that they didn't just bring everyone back, and that there was a select few that they did bring back, which is good. The action was really nice in this, and it really reminded me of the Sinestro Corps War, where everything was fast-paced, and there was always something happening. Not one panel was wasted in this. There was always something happening on one panel or the other. So Jeff Johns does a very good job at bringing the, for lack of a better term, summer blockbuster feel to this. This feels like an action movie. This feels like a summer blockbuster in a comic book form. So in that, the story has a great pace and great action. And in that, the story, despite how simplistic it is a good story. Now, I'm going to comment on the art, and the art was very nice. I really enjoyed the art. All the characters looked stunning, and really, I liked how the zombies were drawn. I think the zombies looked really, 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 really cool. There might be one too many reallys in there, but give or take a really. The zombies were very well drawn and very grotesque. See, I'm a little desensitized by death and zombies and stuff. Watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, or playing video games and seeing horror movies, it just doesn't affect me that much. But it is nice to see that they are drawn very grotesque and gross and mangled, and, well, the zombies just look good. Really, they did. So like I said, there's a lot of good to this. Bad? Well, I can't really think of too much bad going into this. The only bad I could really think off the top of my head is the fact that this is a little bit of a predictable story. For example, how to defeat the Black Lanterns, or how the White Lantern Corps show up, and stuff like that. It is done in a plot twisty kind of way, like in a spoiler alert. Hal Jordan goes to become the White Lantern, however, he doesn't. Someone else does. You don't see that coming because you think, well, it's Hal Jordan, he's the Green Lantern, the greatest of them all, he's going to become the White Lantern, but it's actually someone else. I'm not going to reveal who, but it's really nice that, you know, yeah, it's predictable, but at least they do a little plot twist here and there, mix things up so that it's not too predictable. But in that, that's probably the only bad. There's a few elements in this is a little bit predictable, like how to defeat Black Lanterns, or what needs to be done to defeat them, or the showing up the White Lantern Corps, because you got black, you got white, you need to have the two for a Blackest Night story. Whether or not you should get it. Well, if I could sum up Blackest Night in one word, I would say, fuck you, it's not going to happen. It's just way too hard to do. But if you put a gun to my head, a BFG 9000, and you really force me to, the one word I would pick is fun. And that's what it is. It is a fun story. Blackest Night doesn't put itself out there to be this huge momentous story that's going to affect the DC universe and all that stuff like the former Crisis has. No, this obviously is a big story, but it's a fun story. It has a lot of action, a lot of characters, a lot of stuff that ties into the DC universe, and it's just plain flat out fun. There wasn't one point or one issue in the story that it did not have fun. And it's nice to see a lot of throwback to old characters too in this, even though most of them are zombies, but it's just a fun story. So do I recommend picking it up? Yes, I do. I think this is probably definitely 100% better than Final Crisis. I liked Final Crisis a lot. I told you guys I loved it. I mean, Final Crisis was good writing, except for the last issue. But Blackest Night, well, it's just more fun. that's what it comes down to. It's a more fun DC event. And when comparing it to all the other DC events like Final Crisis, Crisis of Infinite Crisis, Identity Crisis, 0 Hour, Final Night, a lot of the other DC big events, I would put this right up there with some of the best of them. It's not quite as good as the Crisis of Infinite Earth, but it's right around, probably even a little bit better than the Infinite Crisis. It's a good story, it's fun, and I do recommend picking it up. It is a little bit expensive if you get the hardcover at $29.99, but I say it's worth it. It's definitely worth going out and buying. If you don't have the money, you can wait for the paperback, or you can buy the individual issues, but I mean, I would get this right away if you get a chance, because this is a fun story. And like I said, the key word there is fun. You know, Jeff Johns is a great writer, and he really pulls out being a great writer in this. And I'm eagerly awaiting when Brightest Day comes out on trade, which won't happen until the end of the year because it's a bi-yearly event, so, but you get the point. Blackest Night, definitely a great story. One word to describe it would be fun. So I recommend picking it up. With that said, this is Andrew saying, peace out. Good night.